Hi everyone, it's Laura from Sweet Handmade Cookies. Welcome to the Sweet Handmade Cookies Kitchen and Happy New Year! Before we close the book on 2024, I wanted to thank all of you who are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Since March, I've posted 35 videos and 5,300 of you have decided my content was worth a subscribe. I really appreciate all of you. In today's video, I'm going to answer some of your frequently asked questions. I'm going to be making a set of beautiful bridal shower cookies, and I'm going to be displaying a photo montage of all the cookies I made in 2024. There's a lot to do. Let's get busy. Today I'm working on a bridal shower set, and the first step, as always, is making the dough. I have had a lot of questions about my cookie recipe. My favorite question was from Leaving It Blank, who was wondering about my dough recipe and how it was that I could, and I quote, stack my raw cookies like cardboard and flap them onto cookie sheets like poker chips, end quote. I loved this question. I had never thought about how my dough must appear to anyone not working with it regularly, and especially those of you who are familiar with traditional soft sugar cookie dough. I came to my recipe through trial and error, and I will share some tips so you can make adjustments to your favorite recipe. I started with a generic cookie cutout recipe back in about 2009. It made yummy cookies, but they spread like crazy, which is not what you want if you are making cutout cookies. So the first thing I did was remove the baking powder and baking soda from my recipe. These leaveners not only make cookies puff up, but also out, changing their shape significantly. Removing them made for a sturdier cookie that still tasted delicious. Next, I stopped creaming the butter and sugar, which adds a lot of air to the dough. Instead, I mixed the butter and sugar until just combined. I was still struggling with consistent results, so I started adjusting the amount of flour I was adding to my recipe. My cookies started looking better as I added the extra flour, but too much flour led to gummy tasting cookies, so I backed off a little bit on the flour and I knew I had found my perfect recipe. So those steps, removing the leaveners, not creaming the butter and sugar, and increasing the amount of flour has made my dough super stiff. I should also mention that I use colder than room temperature butter. You will have noticed that I took my butter from the fridge, sliced it, and warmed it slightly in the microwave at 20% power. And I also store my rolled dough in the freezer and work with it while it's still cold. Regardless of the temperature of the butter or dough, my recipe makes a stiff dough. All that said, my cookies are not soft sugar cookies. They are tender, delicious, and have a great butter and vanilla flavor, but they are more like a shortbread cookie than a soft cookie like a chocolate chip cookie. Ultimately, my cookies are loved by my customers, so I will not be making any more changes to this amazing recipe. Another question I get asked a lot is for me to share all the details about how I roll my dough. I start by portioning my dough into these extra large freezer bags from Ziploc. They are 38 by 33 centimeters, that's 15 by 13 inches. And what I love about rolling my dough in zippable bags is that the dough can be made ahead of time and stored in the freezer. The dough doesn't dry out while storing it, and the whole process is very tidy. So after I portion the dough, I shape the dough into a flattened log right inside the bag to make the first few passes in the dough sheeter easier. And shaping the dough into a log also results in a flattened sheet that has tidier edges, which will result in more cookies cut from each sheet of dough. And so many of you want details on my dough sheeter. It is the Eugene dough sheeter and it is sold through Etsy. I will include a link in the video description. The Eugene dough sheeter comes in both an electric and manual version. I purchased the manual version because I knew I would be storing and using it on my Cookie Kitchen's island, which does not have easy access to electrical outlets. And let me tell you, it is fantastic. I have no regrets not buying the electric version. Rolling the dough is a breeze, and choosing the manual's version saved me quite a bit of money. It's time for a tidy up. After rolling the dough and placing it in the freezer to chill, I need to wash up the dishes. I don't have a dishwasher in my Cookie Kitchen, but it's not a problem to wash up using the Health Board approved 2-sink method of washing dishes. That requires 1 sink full of hot, soapy water to wash, running water to rinse, and 1 sink with water containing a precisely measured amount of bleach to sanitize the dishes. And then I allow the dishes to air dry. I did receive a suggestion on one of my videos that I should not put my knives into hot water because that would dull my knives. Well, that's a troublesome suggestion. Without hot water, soap, and sanitation, I could risk foodborne illnesses and a shutdown of my business.
I agree that good knives should not go into a dishwasher, but all dishes need proper hot water washing and sanitizing. And now I'm going to do a wipe down of counters and my mixer, and I am ready to move on to the next steps. Let's get started cutting out the shapes from the dough. This dough has been out of the freezer for about 20 minutes, and I will remove one sheet at a time from the bag and then cut the shapes. The idea is to cut as many cookies as possible from each sheet of dough. All of the cookies in this set will be the same design, and so this is the start of cutting and baking 40 hexagon-shaped cookies. And here is a perfect example of me stacking my cookie dough shapes like cardboard and flapping them onto the cookie sheets. It is a definite benefit to have dough that is stiff enough to stack and flap. It's time to work on the royal icing and start flooding the cookies. These cookies will match the bridal shower invitation, and that means the cookies will be flooded in white. It is the easiest color to work with because if you don't make enough icing and need to make more, there is no pressure to color match. White is white. That said, I will add white food coloring to this icing to brighten it up. Each one of these cookies takes just a touch under 25 grams of icing to flood, so I have measured out almost 1,000 grams or 1 kilo of royal icing. I will add water gradually using a food-grade silicone dropper and thin the icing to be the perfect consistency for flooding the cookies. I have received a lot of questions about the consistency of my icing. Almost all of the time I use just one consistency to outline and flood the cookies. I think it is faster to flood this way, and it eliminates the need to make 2 bags of icing of each color. For those of you curious, I fold the icing over onto itself, count to 10 seconds, then shake the bowl for 2 more seconds, and if it is smooth, it is the consistency I prefer to work with. Once the icing is the perfect consistency, I will bag it up. Using a 1-liter mason jar with a wide opening, I place a piping bag into the jar and pour or scoop the icing into the bag. I weigh the icing, and 200 to 225 grams is the perfect amount for me to tie a knot in the top of the bag. There are fancy closures for piping bags on the market, but I think a knot is easy and fast. 8 hours after starting this order, it is finally time to flood the cookies. I will outline the cookies and then fill them in immediately. I will give the cookies a shake and pop any bubbles in the icing using my scribe tool. As I mentioned earlier, this is an order for 40 cookies, so I divided the cookies up over 4 trays with 10 cookies on each tray. Each tray takes about 15 minutes to flood, but I won't make you sit through all of that. I have sped up the process here for your viewing pleasure. After all 4 trays of cookies are flooded, it is finally the end of my workday, and I will allow the icing to dry overnight and start the finishing details in the morning. It's a brand new day and time to get busy on the next steps of these cookies. I have mixed the colors for the flowers I will pipe onto the cookies. These flowers will match the bottom section of this bridal shower invitation. Using my overhead projector, I'm going to project the image onto the cookies and then use that as a guide to pipe the flowers. I will be piping the flowers on in sections as I want there to be definition between the petals. And the way to achieve that is to pipe the first petal, skip the second one, and pipe the third, and so on. By letting the icing dry for even as little as 10 minutes, I can then go back and add the missing sections, and they will not blend together. It's a lovely effect. And since I have a lot of cookies to decorate, I can work on multiple cookies at any time to allow for the sections to dry. A lot of you had questions about my projector. It is the Copycake 300XK. I will include a link in the video description. My Copycake projector is one of the oldest tools in my kitchen. I bought it back in 2011. It is very old school, using just a light bulb and a mirror to project a printed image down onto the work surface. I love it because it's reliable, doesn't need an internet connection, never runs out of charge, and the technology won't change and make it obsolete. Negatives would be the size and the fact that you have to print the image you want to project. So here are the cookies fully piped, but still not yet finished. Some more steps are required to bring some dimension to the flowers. And here I am getting started on that work, using edible ink markers to put some color on the centers and petals of the flowers, and then going back with a moistened brush to soften that color. I'm going to add some of this detail to all of the flowers. And finally, these beautiful cookies are finished. The bright color of the flowers really pops against that crisp white background. I love how they turned out. And now it's time to package. I always individually package my cookies, which helps to protect them from damage during transport. I use glassine bags instead of plastic bags often used in the decorated cookie industry. Glassine is a smooth and glossy paper that is water, air, and grease resistant. It is compostable and/or recyclable. I double fold the top of the bag and close it with a branded sticker. And there is no need to heat seal. I love how glassine looks. More bakery, less factory. I've been packaging my cookies this way for years, and my customers are very happy with this earth-friendly option. There is no compromise to the freshness of the cookies, and for those of you who want to keep their cookies longer than just a few days, I provide information on how to do that. Here are the cookies packaged in their glassine bags, and don't they look terrific? And now the final part of the packaging process, and that is to place the individually packaged cookies into paper bags. Another earth-friendly choice, and I find these bags are so easy to navigate. The bags can hang on fingers while the rest of your hand is carrying other things. Let's take one last look at these beautiful cookies made for bride-to-be Mackenzie, and now, as promised, a look back at my 2024 cookies. Since I've been making decorated cookies, 2024 being my 12th year of specializing in them, birthday cookies have always been the most popular themed cookies. And while I don't always know what age the birthday person is celebrating, I know that this year the most birthday cookies were made for little kiddos turning 1. Then a bunch of sets for kids turning 2, as well as for little ones turning 3, 4, 5, 7, 11, 12, 15, and 16, and for adults turning 18, 25, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Eddie, my edible ink printer, came in super handy for about 20% of my orders, everything from backgrounds to logos to photos on cookies. While I didn't specifically offer Canada Day themed cookies, I did include red maple leaf cookies in 3 sets this year. More than 1/3 of sets were customized with names. My biggest order this year was the I Love DNA cookies. They were not only the biggest cookies at about 15 centimeters across, they also had the largest numbers of cookies in the order. And I repeated the order later in the year. 2 of my cookie orders traveled overseas, 1 set to Greece and 1 set to India. My most interesting cookie pickup location was at Pearson Airport. I was there to pick up my daughter, and meeting my customer there saved the customer about 110 kilometers of driving. I created 1 racy set for a bachelorette party. You will not see that set in this photo montage, but it is possible to find on my website. I created 9 Taylor Swift sets this year. I made a number of creepy cookies, including spiders on a 5th birthday set, beetles on a baby shower set, skulls and coffins on a 30th birthday set, and bats on a 4th birthday set. There was a lot of food on cookies this year, including coffee, frappuccinos, lemons, donuts, honey, popsicles, toast, tacos, ice cream cones, watermelon, pumpkins, cake, milk and cookies for Santa. Along with birthday cookies, I also made cookies for Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, Christmas, as well as for corporate events, sports-themed events, retirements, baby showers, baptism, and other religious events, engagement parties, bridal showers, bachelorette parties, and weddings. Thank you for enjoying this look back on 2024 and making my videos a part of your life. If you are interested in ordering cookies from me in 2025, I am located in Ontario, just north of the GTA. Visit my website or social media channels. Links are located in the video description. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you never miss a video. See you next week.